you brought up Matt Canada's offense, and I was talking to some guys at practice today, and a lot of people, for some reason, said that there's just too much heat on Matt Canada, that his schemes and everything are not as bad as we believe they are. And I kind of had the same reaction as you. I was like, I don't know if you guys have been watching, but it's pretty terrible. And when you go back and watch the film, it's even worse. So can we just like address that people are wrong, because it is awful. So much so that people are like, you're trying to get this guy fired. Somebody told me, not to my face, but somebody told me on Twitter that I am trying to get this guy fired and he's really not that bad, or he deserves less heat. And I was just like, no, man, he's trying to get himself fired. I'm not doing anything. I'm just reporting the news. That's all I'm doing.
I feel like I say this every week, but there's 31 NFL offenses, and then there's Matt Canada's. Like we are operating on a completely different level of, just ineptitude in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a horrific scheme that puts some high school offenses that I've been around to shame. Like, I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think it's awful. Not to, toot my own horn or anything, because like when I say stuff like this, I don't want to be right. But it's just, I'm an honest person. When they hired Canada, I kept asking people, what do you guys think that he does like really well? Like that's going to make this team extremely successful. I heard motion. I heard play action. We ain't seen none of it. They're near the bottom in play action. They're near the bottom in motion percentage. He has absolutely no clue how to develop a passing game. Now, with that being said, here's one thing I'd like to point out that I'm seeing a lot of on Twitter. I'm seeing a lot of people say that, like, you can't – it is very difficult to judge Kenny in this offense because it's a bad offense. Like, they have good weaponry on the outside. I think the receivers are good enough to function on offense. The thing is, Kenny is still missing some throws down the field that are there that he's not pulling the trigger on. Those are still concerning and noteworthy to point out. And you can also acknowledge that he's not in the best situation in terms of, like, he's not getting passes schemed open for him like other quarterbacks. But that's the thing. I mean, we knew that kind of from the jump. Like, Canada's also a really good example, like, to phrase it, like, everyone knows a guy from like high school or from college that like kind of fell up somehow. Like, they weren't really good. They weren't good students. They're not good people, but somehow you always see them getting breaks. Like, everything just, for whatever reason, works out for them. If they throw something up against the wall, it just somehow sticks. Canada was a bad offensive coordinator for pretty much the entire time that he was in college. I mean, he had one good year at Pitt, and then he left for greener pastures in LSU. They quickly got rid of him because he was terrible. He was out of football. He gets a job with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a great job as a quarterback coach. Like, the offense isn't good with him there, and then he falls up into another offensive coordinator job. So he's not a person that people have really wanted to surround themselves with in multiple different organizations over the past decade, and he keeps getting these opportunities. So I wish I could explain it better than that. I don't understand people that are like, I don't get how you're watching the Steelers, even from the broadcast angle on Sundays. Not saying you need to do a bunch of tape work. I don't know how you're watching the Steelers on Sunday and being like, yeah, we're too hard on Matt Canada. Like, what? Have y'all been to a high school football game? Like, I'm not saying, like, this offense shouldn't be, I'm not asking for this to be Buffalo. All right. They don't have that type of quarterback. They don't have that type of talent. But this is better than bottom two, bottom three offense in the league. Like, that's the point.
Oh,
this should be a slightly below average offense with everything constructed currently. And we're just not getting that. And that to me is just an absolute disaster.
Yep. Thank you. The falling up thing is the best thing you could have possibly said, because that was the argument that I got I get it time and time again from everybody, from all over, people in person, people on social media, all over the place. Well, if Pat Narduzzi, Mike Tomlin, and Ed O hire you, you must know something. You must be good at something. And I'm like, no, he got lucky. I don't understand how it happened, but he got lucky. Like, he carried one successful year at Pitt into an entire career, And now he's using that to snowball it upwards. And it's going to come crashing down in 4 months, 5 months, less than 5 months. But thank you for saying that. Thank you. I got nothing to add because it's spot on. Like, it's just, there's nothing to argue. It's bad. It's bad. You don't run multiple plays. If you run the same play twice and it fails twice and you didn't learn from the first one, so you just tried it again, this isn't Madden. Okay. We're not playing Madden. I would do that because I'm like, oh, I really like that play. I think it's going to work the second time. It's not going to do that in the NFL. It's just not.
Ask yourself this, and then we can get off the Canada topic because we're both just getting fired up. But ask yourself this: if any other coordinator, okay, the Miami Dolphins, for example, last week had their 4th string cornerback, a former first-round pick that they completely gave up on. They do not want him. They tossed him to the side. They were playing undrafted guys, like less heralded guys, over him. Okay. This is a kid, and I like Noah. I'm not trying to like pick on him as a player. He made the game-winning interception. Like, good on him. I think he did some good things last week. This is a dude that Miami did not want. Okay, Miami felt comfortable playing man coverage on the outside against Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, and the Steelers could not make them pay for it.
Yep.
They had their 4th-string corner in press coverage on the outside against Deontay Johnson, one of the best route runners in the league, and George Pickens, who I already think is a good receiver. And they couldn't make him pay. And this is the thing. It wasn't really a mystery on what they were doing. Like, on 3rd downs last week, let me just give y'all some numbers. On 3rd downs last week, Miami played man coverage on 63% of the snaps. That was number 1 in the NFL on 3rd down. Okay. They weren't even disguising it. They were literally just lining up series after series at the line of scrimmage, and they couldn't make them pay. Like, to me, that is bizarre. Like,
yeah,
it's bizarre. And that's what concerns me moving forward is, like, I don't know if Canada is good enough to adjust to things that are happening in the game and say, okay, we have a solution for that. Like, some offensive coordinators are good about putting together game plans, but they're not good play callers because they don't make good adjustments. He has a terrible scheme, but he also can't adjust in the game to what defenses are giving them. And that to me is when you begin to like think like we've lost hope. And that's why, you know, it's hard. Like I said, that's the part that I think is going to make it hard to evaluate Kenny, because I think he's in a terrible system that isn't going to give him any gimmies. Like, he's not going to get the assistance from the scheme that other young quarterbacks are getting. You look at Bailey Zappi, who literally looked like a functioning good NFL quarterback for multiple weeks with Matt Patricia calling the plays, because they were just scheming him wide open plays on play action. Like, this man has 158.3 perfect passer rating on play action. Meanwhile, the Steelers are running play action bootlegs to the flat to Connor Hayward and freaking like in the run screen passes. I mean, it's really bizarre to me that it is, like I said, it's bizarre to me that he has a job. And I mean that respectfully, but it's just how I feel.
You have to mean it respectfully, but at the same time, like, you know, it's hit the point where like people are getting so upset and so like trying to blame so many different things. And it's just like, I don't understand where those expectations are coming from. How you walked into this and watched this game and go, yeah, you know what? Shuffle passes to Zach Gentry. That was
the second down stuff. The second down shuffle pass took me out. I wish you guys could have been in my basement. I wish you guys would have been in my basement.
It was so bad. It was so bad. That was the end of it.
I see Rich is saying if they don't take down shots down the field, play action won't work. Look, you don't have to be a good running team to run play action. You don't have to always take deep shots when you run play action. But you got to take something other than bootlegs and sprint outs. Like, if every time you're going play action, it's to change the launch point and move the pocket, and all you're doing is hitting the flat, that's not doing anything to stretch the defense vertically. All you're doing is stretching them horizontally. Like, there's multiple things that you need to do with play action. They don't have the ability right now, like in their scheme, to test teams vertically. Like if you look and you watch other teams and how they use play action, they're manipulating the second level defenders like the linebackers and hitting shots over the middle of the field. We saw it too. We saw Tua do it to the Steelers the whole first like 20 minutes of the game against them.
Yep.
Like Tua, play action, boom, crosser, boom, skinny post, condensed split, throw into the middle of the field. Like you don't necessarily have to be this like, you don't have to have a crazy arm to throw those. Like Jared Goff, McVay had this man looking like an MVP candidate back in like 2018, 2017 with this like wide zone play action pass over the top, over the middle. Jimmy G's made a living throwing over the middle of the field. Even though I don't think he's a great quarterback, he's serviceable because Shanahan's able to get him play action looks and they're able to use the middle of the field. Canada can't even do that. That to me it's just bad. It's really bad.
You could come up with a million. Like I have 2 plays in my head right now that I just won't, because we'll just keep going. Like
I could talk. I could talk X's and O's and why this is so bad for 3 hours. We'd need an entire. We'd run into tomorrow's college football broadcast.